Name of the game? Move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket.
Right, but if you can make the client's money at the same time, it's advantageous to everyone, correct?
No. Number one rule of Wall Street. Nobody, I don't care if you're Warren Buffett or if you're Jimmy Buffett, nobody knows if the stock is going to go up, down, sideways, or in fucking circles. Least of all stockbrokers. Right? It's all a fugazi. You know what a fugazi is?
Fugazi, it's fake.
Yeah, fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a fairy dust. It doesn't exist. It's never landed. It is no matter. It's not on the elemental chart. It's not fucking real.
Right.
All right? All right. Stay with me. Mm-hmm. We don't create shit. We don't build anything.
No.
So if you got a client who bought stock at 8 and it now sits at 16 and he's all fucking happy, he wants to cash in, liquidate, take his fucking money and run home, you don't let him do that.
Okay.
Because that would make it real.
Right.
No, what do? You get another brilliant idea, a special idea, another situation, another stock to reinvest his earnings and then some. And he will every single time because they're fucking addicted. And then you just keep doing this again and again and again. Meanwhile, he thinks he's getting shit rich, which he is on paper. But you and me, the brokers, we're taking home cold hard cash via commission, motherfucker.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NEETwork, the podcast for all things NEET. I'm your host, Theo, and with me, as always, is my friend Dexter.
Hello, everybody.
I thought before I didn't have a lot of NEET news, but I forgot about the anti-work subreddit. Have you heard of this?
Isn't that one of the fastest growing subreddits right now?
Yeah, I don't know when it exactly launched because I don't pay a lot of attention to Reddit, but it hit, I think it was either the number one or within the top 5 fastest growing subreddits, and that's pretty wild. Like over 1 million people joined in like the span of a couple weeks.
Yeah, I don't normally get on Reddit. It's a little cringe for me sometimes, but
yeah, Reddit is kind of like I like to describe it as the Walmart of the internet. And sure, you can find just about anything there, but what you're getting isn't of very high quality.
I mean, there's definitely some experts there, but I feel like there's a lot of self-proclaimed experts as well, so it can be really misleading.
There's a lot of that too, and I must say, like, in the beginning, anti-work was like, we are going to abolish work. We're going to get rid of it. We don't want work anymore. And since then, it's kind of moved to like, oh, well, we want to unionize and get living wages. And I'm still like, no, abolish work. And then you get the typical like commies coming in there and Antifa coming in there, like just saying their own shit. Like somehow you can't be right wing and anti-work at the same time. Oh, and Christian bashing too.
Oh, okay. So that's a really touchy subject for me because for me, like some of the nicest people I've met in my entire life are, Christians.
It's that typical like
they're thumpers.
Fedora tipping. What is it? What did they say? Religion is the opiate of the masses and stuff like that.
Oh, the guys who are so enlightened by their own intelligence.
Yeah.
They're euphoric.
Yes, extremely euphoric. Though, one thing I like about anti-work is this, it's called Blackout Black Friday, and it's this plan they have. Basically, they're trying to encourage as many people as they can to one, not go shopping on Black Friday, and 2, if you're working retail on Black Friday, just don't show up. Which I think is hilarious. My plan is to show up on Black Friday. I don't work a retail job. But like go shopping on Black Friday and just fill my cart full of huge, heavy items, and then just walk out of the store without the items, so they have to put them back.
You're kind of taking it out on the poor wagey.
I know.
mean-
I know it basically won't affect anyone. If I did work at, let's say I still worked at Lowe's, I would absolutely do this. Just like promise, okay, overtime, I can work any day. I'll work 12 hours if I have to. I'm definitely showing up, and then not show up. Not answer my phone. Don't do anything.
Well, if you were working at Lowe's still, you'd be the one moving the heavy items back.
Well, no, because I wouldn't be there. Someone else would do it. And I'd probably never show up.
You're gonna show up.
I guess for personal news, I just put in my 2 weeks at my current job. And I'm still a failure as a NEET because I'm switching to a new job. But it's the case where my new job is rather than so my current job is like 5 days a week, anywhere from 3 to 4 hours a day, with a Friday that could last anywhere from 7 to 9 hours, and that sucks. But my new job will be 2 12-hour shifts on the same 2 days every single week. So effectively, I'll have a 5-day weekend.
Well, I can say just from experience of working a 10-hour shift, 12 hours is rough. But if it's only twice a week,
Exactly, only twice a week. Yeah, and that's going to give me a lot of time to work on other projects and probably other content for this channel, as well as some other things I want to work on. And when those things happen, I'll let you guys know out there.
it's kind of weird to me, the psychological effect that days off have on people.
Yeah,
Because, like, when I first started working the 4-day work week, I was like, wow, this is incredible. Every weekend is like a long weekend. This is great.
3 whole days.
Yeah, 3 whole days.
Uh-huh.
And now it's just like another standard week. And I feel like I'm going to die at the end of the 4th day.
Oof, that is rough. It does feel like a huge scam that we have to work. I mean, if you work full time, it's 5 days a week and you only get 2 days a week to rest. I think we've talked about it before, where even on your days off, you're not doing anything but preparing for the next day of work.
Right. I mean, I'm definitely like resting up on my days off. I mean, yeah, full time 4-day work weeks are better than 5-day, but still, it's rough. But I think before we get into the meat of the episode, I think we should talk about how we're still a pretty small podcast and we're always trying to grow the audience. So if you have any friends who might be interested in the NEETwork, let them know about us. Any boosts to our signal helps, and we treasure every new subscriber.
Absolutely. But the subject of the evening tonight, we are returning to methods of earning your NEETbux to finance your NEET lifestyle. But tonight we cover what I've kind of figured is possibly the greatest racket of all time, high finance. Now, I don't think high finance really has a definition, but you can basically explain it as the idea of using your money to make more money.
The boomer ideal.
Yes. And like with all of our finance related episodes, we have to say that this is not financial advice. This is for information and entertainment purposes only, and any financial decision you make should be made with great care.
If you're unsure, it may be worthwhile to consult a financial expert. Neither Theo or I have any formal education in finance. This is just us making observations.
Yeah, I got my financial education from YouTube, and that's that's proven great,
I got it from Reddit
right?
because Redditors know how to save money. So I guess we should probably talk about the most like obvious form of high finance being the stock market and crypto market.
I'm not gonna lie, the longer I stay in those games, and the more I learn, the less I believe them to be real paths to financial freedom. It may have once been the case that you could find wealth and success, but just like the path of the normie we've talked about, I'm starting to think it's likely another trap.
I mean, there is that one hamster who is making money on the market just by doing everything at random. Like there is no thought behind it.
Yeah, Mr. Gox. That is so weird. That's a very interesting case. He really is just buying cryptocurrency at random, and they say he's outperforming the S&P 500.
which is just bonkers to me. I guess he just goes through the way it works is he goes through one tunnel and it just buys something at random. And then he goes through another one and it sells something at random.
Right. Well, his hamster wheel picks out the crypto. So he'll run on the hamster wheel and then pass through a buy or sell tunnel.
Maybe we're underestimating him. Maybe he's actually secretly a reincarnated financial analyst.
Maybe. It's so weird that it's not even as complicated as I thought it was. Because, like, what I was thinking was it was some kind of Skinner box situation where if he sold at a profit, he would get food, and if he sold at a loss, he would get something else. But it really is just random.
It shocks him if he sells at a loss.
Maybe. I wouldn't go that far. I don't want to hurt the guy.
Me neither. He's very cute.
Yeah.
And he's a little businessman. He needs a little business suit. A little hamster suit.
Yeah.
For me, the more I look at it, the likelihood of like winning in the market and gaining massive wealth feels really low unless you have stupid amounts of money just to drop on something. If you put a little in, yeah, you might pull a little out, but you need a lot to put in if you want to pull a lot out.
Yeah, and that's what I'm finding too. Unlike Mr. Gox, Mr. Gox doesn't know what he's doing. He has no idea. So he can do it entirely at random, but humans can't be random, especially when, their emotions are kind of attached to what they're doing.
Right, and there's always the risk factor, right? Humans have that scale of risk and reward. Another thing is, I mean, I also kind of remember seeing something about a lot of people losing faith in the stock market after the GME incident, with the SEC forcing a lot of people to lose confidence in it.
I'm definitely in that basket of people. I still have my GME and AMC stock, but I've sold off a lot of my crypto and regular stock for something I'll talk about a little bit later.
You got diamond hands, you hodling.
For those, I got diamond hands. Now, the basics of cryptos and stock markets work in basically the same way. You buy stock or cryptocurrency, and when they gain or lose value based on the demand for those cryptos or stocks, you can sell them at a loss if you bet poorly, or at a profit if you bet well. That typical strategy is like long-term holding for growth, but you can also hold long-term for a dividend, with some stocks and I think some cryptos granting a dividend with the higher percentage dividend, paying out higher the more you invest in it.
I've actually, one of my strategies that I've been looking into is investing in a Roth IRA. Granted, I mean, I can't really enjoy the fruits of that investment until I'm already half dead, actually, like 3/4 dead. But at least it is untaxed because it's pre-taxed money when you put it in, so they don't tax it when it comes out at a much more massive.
Okay, so if you put it into the IRA, it's taxed less than if it was counted as a capital gains tax.
Exactly. So you put it in as, like, say I put $5 in, and by the time I'm 59 and a half or 56 and a half, I can't remember the age, that I can pull it out for nothing. Uh, and I pull out like $4,000. That $4,000 is mine, and nobody can touch it.
Interesting, but you still can't touch it until you're 65, though.
The caveat is I can't touch it until I'm 59 and a half.
Oh, 59 and a half. Interesting.
And I don't know where the half year comes from. There are some other key things as well. Like, you can use the first $10,000 in your Roth IRA to buy your first home.
Good luck with that. $10,000 for a house?
Well, it's not going to get you the whole house, but it might get you a down payment.
Yeah, that's true.
So, if it's going towards a first house, you can kind of pull that money out early. I don't know if that's taxed or not. If it's not, that's really cool. That's a long-term investment that you can kind of pull from early. Anything to stop me from getting taxed on more money, the better.
And that's another reason that stock and crypto are kind of a problem is because the government taxes you so heavily. I think it's counted as a capital gains tax, which I think is like 40% now.
I know a lot of those exchange rates are really bad too. Like when you're pulling it out of your trade,
Yeah,
it kills me looking at that.
yeah. Another thing about crypto though is maybe they don't pay dividends, but you can choose to stake your crypto. I don't really know what it means by that, but essentially it means that you kind of hold the crypto and you earn interest on it. And it's not quite the same system as dividends, but it's a similar concept. The problem I have with staking crypto and with stocks paying dividends is that the return is always so low, and a typical reliable dividend is about 2 to 4%. So if you invest $100 in it, you only make $2 to $4 per year. So in other words, if you actually want to make a living off of dividends, you would need to invest so much money that you could have just lived off the money you invested in the first place.
Right. I mean, there's also the question of inheritance, right? Like, do you want to leave something behind for someone else to live to?
I guess you can do that.
Make your entire lineage needs.
That would be cool, but we're talking about ourselves here tonight.
That's right. I guess we want to think a little more short term on this one.
Right.
When I start getting into the thought of high finance, I start thinking really far in the future because it feels like it's all so slow.
They can figure it out themselves. And the biggest problem with both the stock market and crypto is just how heavily manipulated they are by the people on top.
Well, yeah, we saw that with Citadel during the GME thing where they were effectively like doing a lot of aftermarket trades to try and scare people into thinking that GME was finally crashing over and over and over again.
Yes, and a number of other just predatory practices. There's some narrative that crypto is like, oh, it's decentralized and for the people, but don't buy that crap. Retail investment in crypto accounts for only 5% of all crypto ownership, which means it's still the billionaire oligarchs that are in control here. And as far as I know, there isn't a government body like the SEC, which is in charge of regulating crypto. And at least the stock market is regulated on paper.
But at the same time, I think you can easily take advantage of corpo control things. They can't bring the power of the government down on you.
I don't think it's that easy. By the time you're learning about a big stock or crypto boom, it's likely too late. You might get lucky every once in a while and make some neat money, but that is super rare. And of all the really big trades I've heard of, it's really risky. I heard a story about both the Shiba Inu coin and AMC where the guy basically risked his life savings. It's two different stories, two different people, but basically the same story where they risked their life savings and did end up making many millions of dollars. But it was a huge play they had to make. Something that would have ruined them if it didn't work.
I mean, once something becomes public knowledge, everyone has to hop on that train, which makes the payout smaller each time someone hops on, which is it's always kind of a struggle. I know at my job, the guy who works next to me, I feel so bad for him. He had like a whole bunch of money in Shiba coin when it was like worth absolutely nothing. And the whole Robinhood thing came out, and he's like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna switch off of Robinhood." So he sold all of his Shiba coin when it was like worth maybe like 3 cents.
Shiba never made it to a cent because I sold my Shiba too.
I thought it made it to 70 cents. Oh no, it went to 0.7 cents, didn't it?
Yes, I had some Shiba and it shot up for just a couple of days and then just immediately started dropping down.
Or Dogecoin. Dogecoin.
Oh, Dogecoin. Okay. Yeah, Doge.
He had a whole bunch of Dogecoin.
Oof.
And he sold it when it was like at 3 cents.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like he had a crap ton of it for no reason.
Right, and it ran to like 80 cents.
And I mean, he did make money on it. He made money, but he sold so early to switch out of Robinhood
Uh-huh.
that he missed the Buku trade.
Youch.
But at the same time, I also got to see the absolute opposite, which was freaking hilarious because I didn't even like this guy at work. The one of the guys hopped on late when it was at 70 cents.
Oof.
It was like, yeah, I dropped like $1,000 on it. I'm living it, you know. And granted, this guy had a wage that it wasn't going to hurt him, but still, he dropped it. It was like he kept coming into our office and talking to the guy who works next to me all the time. Like, what the heck's happening? Why is it going down?
I actually can't really explain that either. What caused it to go up and down? Why does crypto just shoot up like that?
Missed the bubble.
I guess.
It's the artificial value, I guess,
Yeah,
when everybody wants it.
and that's another reason I don't really like crypto is that it's highly, highly volatile, and its value is largely artificial. I think a lot of cryptos provide some kind of service, but for every one legit crypto, there's like probably 5 or 6 scams.
I mean, I feel like I gotta ask.
Huh?
I feel like we have to ask our crypto expert in the Discord about this because it really does feel like we're dealing in monopoly money.
Yeah. And it sucks that I feel that way because we absolutely need a currency that's like outside of government control. I think that's very necessary and will probably be necessary in the future.
We'll just pay for everything in NFTs in the future.
Right? We'll talk about NFTs here in a second. I'm not quite done with stocks and crypto. I guess the last couple of points I have is when you're dealing with stocks and crypto, there is the question of fees. And there's a lot of stock brokerages that are issuing the charge of fees in favor of things like interest or trading on a margin. Basically, you borrow some money to invest. But my one experience is that crypto brokerages charge insane fees. But my one crypto brokerage experience is with Coinbase, where I think they charge like a 5%, like a 5% fee every time you buy and sell, which can get very high if you're dealing with high volumes.
Right. The people who are benefiting off of that are going to be, the big time companies, right?
Right.
They win when you lose, and they win when you win.
Yeah. There really isn't too much difference between using your money to buy stocks and gambling. You're risking money. There's a house who always has the advantage, and they make money when you lose.
Man, it really does hurt. But I wonder if there's a way we could abuse that to our advantage as well, without, of course, becoming one of them.
Maybe if I got into it earlier and I had a lot more experience, that would be possible. Not to say that one should ignore these methods of making money, but personally, I am not really going to be banking on them in the future. I keep a little bit in there on the off chance that I might be able to pay my bills with some stonk gains every few months, but I've largely been pulling out of both stocks and crypto.
I have a new strategy for you.
Let's hear it.
Let's get a hamster. And I want that hamster cage to be underwater.
Yes, we'll have to contact the underwater hamster guy for this. Now, there's this recent trend within like this last year or maybe the last couple of years that has really taken off, but this non-fungible token thing, these NFTs, what do you think of these?
Snake! Somebody hacked into my crypto wallet and stole my cool ape NFTs! You gotta help me! Those monkeys are my life savings!
Man, I might just be a boomer, but I just don't get NFTs. I try to learn more about them, and the more I think I know, the dumber they seem to be.
If I'm being honest with you, that sounds exactly like how people sounded when Bitcoin came out.
Yeah.
But I just have such a hard time building this mindset that they're going to lift off and just be a thing.
There's a point I want to make in just a moment, but at first, let's explain what an NFT is.
No idea what they are.
And I guess it's something like an art object that you can buy, but you don't own the object so much as your name is listed as the owner. And it doesn't necessarily have to always be art. One of the more famous NFTs is LeBron James selling his big slam dunk moments as NFTs. You heard about this?
I have not.
And they're selling for like, I think, at least 6 digits because he's LeBron James, you know?
What about Shaq? I want to see Shaq
Ooh.
shattering freaking backboards as an NFT.
Yo, Shaq should sell his slam dunks as NFTs. NFTs, like, moreover, remind me of Beanie Babies. Do you remember those? Or are you too young for those?
I had a Beanie Baby, and I
Right.
did not understand the concept when I had it because I was a little baby, and
Mhm.
that was just like my stuffed animal at the time.
Yeah, so Beanie Babies were basically just a little interesting collector item in the late 90s.
It's kind of like Furbies.
Not quite. They didn't talk or anything. They were just like little dolls.
They weren't just innately creepy.
No, they were actually kind of adorable. But the thing about Beanie Babies is people were buying them up, buying the rare ones, and kind of investing in them like NFTs. And then, I don't remember exactly why, the Beanie Baby market crashed, and they became as good as worthless. And now, so people are sitting on like thousands of dollars of Beanie Babies that went down to like, they might sell for $15 each.
Wow. That's kind of like what happens with magic cards often.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Magic cards will be super, super valuable for a really long time. And I guess depending on what release they were in, they still can be.
Right. Either because they're rare or they're powerful.
Because Black Lotus, for example, got
The famous one.
yeah, that's the famous one. That one was worth like thousands and thousands of dollars. And it was like way OP in the first meta, but got like heavily nerfed as more things released. But it was still valuable. Then they did a reprint, and the reprint was worth like nothing.
Yeah,
I say nothing. The reprint was still valuable, but it was like pennies compared to the first print.
exactly. A lot of those collector items are, I guess you could say, a proto NFT, but the thing about NFTs is that it's all digital. You can't display a LeBron James slam dunk in your living room.
It's not tactile. It's in a digital wallet that people just have, I guess.
Have some kind of digital registry.
Hey, you want to check out my NFT collection? Let me know what you think. It's like, okay, cool. How many? What's it worth? Granted, I'm being totally one sided here because I'm almost certain that it's
Same.
that people are making money off of it, and I'm just jealous. But
There is money to be made on NFTs. But you have to be the person who made them.
right,
If you can make an NFT, I bet you could make some pretty good cash
maybe that's gonna be our new hustle.
figuring out an NFT to make.
Yeah, here I'll make various flexing poses, and you draw me
Ooh,
like that.
yeah,
We'll post it on an NFT marketplace.
yeah.
We'll call it Dexter Coin. Oh,
Dexter coin. All right, enough about those things. On to something like more tactile.
oh, what? Come on, you don't want Ranch Coin? Ram Ranch Coin?
Ooh, that would make a good NFT. The different Ram Ranch Cowboys.
Oh yeah. We got what, Prince Albert? They really rock.
So, on to something a little more tactile. This is considered one of the best investments you can make, and it's just real estate. It's as simple as buying a piece of land with or without a building on it, and then either selling the land later when it's more valuable, or charging for the use of that land.
Right. So this is actually probably not a good time to invest in real estate. It really looks like the price is sky high. We're like following the 2008 market crash almost to a T.
Yeah.
At some point, people are just going to stop buying, and I think we're on the cusp of another crash. Now, if we wait like another couple months after the crash occurs, because I'm pretty sure prices are starting to lower again. If we wait another couple months, things might become very affordable.
We've mentioned the BlackRock thing before. Who's to say that like BlackRock won't start buying up all the real estate once the price crashes again? If anything, they're doing it on purpose, like crash the market and then buy everything up at a reduced price.
Right, and I mean it's really unfortunate, but there's just no way to beat out these people who have just unlimited funds to throw at things.
Exactly. But you had a particular strategy you wanted to talk about, Dexter.
Yeah, so actually this strategy involves like kind of it's better if you live in like rural middle America, like the breadbasket area. Just outside of big cities is like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And basically buy up land on the like edges of these big cities where it starts to become less valuable
Yeah.
and wait like 3 or 4 years for the big city to build out to that area
Mm.
and then sell the land at like 3 or 4 times what you paid for it.
Right, because they're going to need to get that land to expand out the city eventually.
Right. Cities don't just grow up. They grow out. They don't shrink
Yes.
and they don't stop growing because populations are always increasing. So,
Unless you're Detroit.
well, Detroit's a different circumstance.
Right. Or Cleveland, the other one.
The other, oh man, I guess there are some cities that shrink in population.
Right.
Um, most of them grow. So, like, I went out to Kansas City not too long ago, and like everything outside of Kansas City is dirt cheap. I mean, dirt cheap compared to what I see out here,
Right.
but it is like massive quantities of just flat land. I think that there's massive profit to be made by buying up land outside of those bigger cities, kind of in rural middle America,
Mm-hmm.
and then selling it. Granted, it's a bit of an investment; it's a time investment as well.
Right.
But if you can hold on to it, it's good stuff.
If you can hold on to it, yeah, that is the trouble with real estate, is that it has a very high barrier to entry. Houses, maybe you're aware, tend to be pretty expensive, and so does land too, because land is so finite and it's all being bought up. The price just seems to get higher and higher all the time.
Right. Again, we said it earlier, but large scale companies just have the unlimited funds to buy everything. So it's better to get in early than late. You got to read the market too.
Yeah, just like stocks and crypto, real estate is also manipulated all the hell. But what can you really do about it?
But you definitely want to own your own
Hmm.
property if you can. I mean, I guess technically you never really own it because you'll still have a mortgage, but still.
Yeah. Oh, you're basically renting from the bank, and even if you own the land, it's like you have to pay property tax to the government. So it's more like you're renting from the government, even when the mortgage is paid.
Right. Instead of just paying a landlord.
Right.
I'd rather at least own my property and have some equity to walk out with. If
I guess. There's this other problem with real estate, and that's that, like, even if you could afford a mortgage payment, banks are just simply unwilling to allow anyone to actually borrow money from them. Like, you might be able to pay a mortgage, and the mortgage payment would be cheaper than paying rent, but you lack the income and savings for the bank to consider you. But at the same time, you can't gather the credit and savings for the mortgage because paying rent is so much more expensive than paying the mortgage payment.
right, and there's actually something else about this too. I know, especially out where I am, there's an overabundance of manufactured homes and like hardly any stick built homes. The stick built homes here are like $1 million homes.
What is a stick built home?
So a manufactured home, you know what that is, right? Where they bring it in on a trailer and then they place it down and it's done.
Oh, like a mobile home.
Yeah, mobile home basically.
Okay, okay.
And a stick built home is one that, you know, they build the foundation, they build all of the frame, and then they build the house on that frame.
Huh.
And it's stationary. It doesn't move. There's like next to none of them, and the ones that are here are like $1 million homes on the market. And the banks don't want to lend anything for manufactured homes out here because they depreciate in value and various other, I guess, legal reasons,
Interesting.
or at least financial reasons, that the banks will not, most of the time, they will not provide a lending.
Right.
If you're looking at a manufactured home, it's really challenging.
Yeah, if you're trying to cut costs by buying a manufactured home, you're not going to get any help. You're basically on your own. I never thought of that.
Right.
See, I don't know like how this is exactly a problem, but you've probably heard the term of McMansions, right?
McMansions?
McMansions. They're basically mass-produced, as you say, stick-built houses, but they're like modular. Like you've maybe seen
Oh, you're talking about a Neymar home, or whatever it is.
a what?
Neymar home.
Neymar home.
Neymar homes, I believe.
Can't say I've heard that term.
No, not Neymar. What is it? McMansions. There's actually a home type that basically you pick it out of a catalog and then people come and they build it.
Yeah, it's like a mass-produced house, but it has a foundation on it. If you know what it is, commenter, please leave a comment.
There's a specific name for homes like that. It's like
Huh.
just modular homes, but
Modular.
they have a specific name to them.
Okay.
But yeah, basically they just go off of a blueprint, they give it to a contractor, and that contractor comes and builds based off of the blueprint.
Hmm.
And there is no character to it. It's just a clone home.
Right, exactly. I was going to mention there's like pictures of like neighborhoods that cover miles and miles of land, but they're all just like clone houses. It's like something out of a weird movie, like a Stepford Wife type movie.
When I was growing up in Texas, we had a whole bunch of suburbs like that, countless cul-de-sacs one after another, and they'd all be the same home.
Quote unquote great. But back to finance. Maybe if you're having trouble financing a real estate purchase, or, and this is another method of making a little money, you don't have to turn to a bank necessarily for a loan. You can do what's called a peer-to-peer loan. Most of the time when you need a large amount of capital, you might go to a bank for such a loan. But like we said, banks are super finicky when it comes to who they actually allow to borrow their money. And peer-to-peer lending can circumvent the financial system to provide income in the form of interest payments, or if you're seeking to purchase real estate, a loan for a real estate purchase. I'll just go into how you can make money doing this. And it's essentially you invest money in a borrower who then pays some kind of interest to you. But you get to decide who you lend your money to, and not the bank, who lends money to whomever they decide to lend it to.
That kind of sounds like, how like a lot of families will borrow from their parents if their funds are flexible enough within the household.
Uh-huh.
I was going to borrow from my dad when I was looking at getting a plot of land to build a home on, but didn't quite play out that way. I got sniped before I could get it.
Oh, I see. It wasn't that he didn't have enough money.
It was I was just going to buy the plot of land and let it appreciate in value over time. But then someone beat me to it.
Someone nabbed it before you did.
Like 40 minutes they signed without consolation.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's no way for me to even outbid.
Oh, wow.
This, to me, I don't know about you, but this sounds really risky to me.
Right. The usual laws don't stop a debtor from just defaulting on their loan, leaving you with nothing at all if they can't pay. My brother does some of this, and what he says is he does a little research on the lendee before making any kind of loan. And he says like, okay, this guy, he's an engineer. I can rely on him to pay his loan back. This guy, he's a crackhead. I can't trust him.
What kind of research does he do? Does he like look at their credit scores or anything? Like what's he
He looks at like what he told me was that he looks at their kind of, I guess, station, like what kind of job do they have? What else are they holding? What kind of collateral they might have? And that's how he decides who he loans to.
Yeah, it just feels like something where I'd have to take some really sturdy collateral.
Right, exactly.
Give me your first child if you don't pay me back.
First child, wow. And that is one problem with peer-to-peer lending. The other problem is that while the interest you gain is just a little higher than something like a dividend payment, it's still really small, like maybe 5 or 6% if you lend your money to someone who is considered to be in low risk.
So even if you are doing something like that, you're not making that much off of it.
Right. It's another situation where you have to put so much money into it that if you want to make your living doing it, you'll have so much money already that you could just live the rest of your life on it.
And another thing is, if they just take it and walk, now you're super in the hole,
Exactly.
or not really that much pay.
Right, right.
It's high risk for little reward, is what it sounds like.
And that really does seem like what a lot of this high finance type stuff is.
High risk for little reward.
Right. Long time ago, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I had a lot more faith in financial institutions like all the ones we just talked about. But I gotta wonder now, the more that I learn about it, I just have to ask, is it really all a trap? Just like the normie narrative of getting a good job will trap you in the wage cage, is this traditional method of investing just another way for the capitalist class to extract more wealth from working people? And wouldn't that make so much sense, right?
I think it's something that is really easily abused. It's kind of like the fine art market, right?
Yes.
Where the rich and extremely wealthy are able to launder money out through the fine art market.
Hmm.
I am almost convinced that that happens in the stock market
Oh, probably.
to some degree, dirty money.
Almost certainly, yeah.
So it feels like it's there for the benefit of, the super rich. Not to say that the lower class can't take advantage of it. There are chances to hit big. It's just you got to be nearly omnipotent and future sight.
Right. There's money to be made there, but you kind of have to accept your place as a rat scurrying around under the table, hoping that the king drops, a piece of chicken for you to eat.
Like, I don't think this is necessarily the fault of the capitalist system.
It's the fault of the capitalists.
It's the fault of the people who pay into it
Yeah, exactly.
because it's working for them right now.
For them. But to me, for the little guy, it just seems more and more to me that the practice of investing your money in the big institutional markets really only works for those who can throw 5 or even 6 digits into it, rather than the piddly thousands or hundreds of dollars that someone like you and me might be able to afford. The returns are just too small for a person like me to justify handing that big a piece of your pie over to them.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if giving up on the system is, totally giving up on it is a good idea. I think there is a lot of nuance that needs to be learned before you go hard and start making the buku bucks in it. And
Right.
unfortunately, it's very easy to get disheartened in the market, to kind of be misled with information. There's a lot of bad information out there.
Yeah. Oh, so much bad information.
I'm actually really regretting not believing one of my coworkers.
What's that?
He was telling me like, "Hey, you need to invest in Ford," and like at the time, Ford was like dropping and dropping. Like it went from $15 to $12 in like 3 months.
Oh,
And
that's
it's
rough.
like,
Did it shoot back up?
oh, it's at like 17 now,
Oh, wow, that's rough.
and I'm pissed.
But like, let's say you put $1,000 into Ford and it dropped to
Oh,
$12 and then
it's at
shot back up to
19.
19. So let's just for simplicity's sake say you bought $1,000 of Ford at $10 and then that came up to $20. All you did was double your money.
Right.
That might pay your bills for a month.
I've made $1,000,
Yeah, that's it.
but then that $1,000 gets taxed.
Yeah, and then the $1,000 gets taxed, and then whatever's left over might pay your
Right.
bills for a month if you're
Then
lucky.
I made like $300 or $400 in the
Yeah,
end,
exactly. You made
which
piddly gains.
is actually not even enough to cover like a standard rent.
Yeah. And I'm not entirely pulled out of the stock market. I still have a little bit in there. Like I have like a couple grand in there, but I'm largely pulling out because I think perhaps in the end, the best investment of all is yourself. And what that specifically is will probably vary from person to person. What I'm doing is taking money out of investments and using it to do things like purchase music recording equipment or cameras for projects I want to do in the future.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Sorry, my cat
No
was
worries.
really
No
anxious to
worries.
get inside to look out my window
Hmm.
for some reason. She looks so sassy about it.
Right.
She's very upset. Right. I think that it's a good idea and it adds more value to you if you invest in yourself and your hobbies. In fact, I would recommend, finding some kind of money making niche in your hobbies. Like, there's some people pay for some of the weirdest crap out there.
Oh yeah. What I'm talking about is like I'm investing money into things I'll need for future projects, but what do you think you could invest in for yourself, Dexter?
Learning a new language is a good idea,
Okay.
along with some kind of craft that might be worth money. Though I have no idea where I'd want to go with that. But like a new language, you could at least do like freelance translating, which if you find the right kind of spot for it, that can be worth pretty decent money.
Yeah. If I want to reference like Eric Baroni from last time, let's say a guy like me wanted to make a video game, someone who didn't really have any skills at all, you could invest in the training, like the programming training and maybe the art training to finally make a video game. But I think that's everything I'd like to mention tonight. What do you think, Dexter?
I think that covers about everything I wanted.
All right. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone for listening all the way through to the end. If you like what you heard, you can help us grow in a few ways. If you're listening on Podbean or any other fine podcast hosting service, leave a like and consider downloading the episode. If you're listening on YouTube, you can like, subscribe, and leave a comment to help out the algorithm. I know you've all heard it 1,000 times before, but it only takes a moment, and you're helping out a lot more than you think.
If you'd like to support us in a more personal way, consider contributing to our Patreon at patreon.com/NEETworkPod. You forgot to mention the guy who's our first Patreon.
Oh, that's right. Now that we have a $10 golden tendy Patreon contributor, let's give that person a shout out. Thank you, Kyla, for your kind donation of $10 to the NEETwork. And with that, oh wait, there was one last thing I wanted to say before we said goodnight. Did you know I made up a new word, Dexter?
Okay, I like where this is going.
You want to hear it?
Oh, absolutely.
Plagiarism.
I don't get it.